In today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what you should be charging if you're an online coach. This is going to apply to you if you're an online fitness coach, nutrition coach, life coach, if you do any personal development. I'm going to walk with you through the different types of models that you can use based on the amount of touch points that you're giving your clients. I'm also going to show you different time frames, whether that's a 3-month relationship, a 6-month, an annual, or even month to month. So we're gonna break all this down, but the reason I'm sharing this is because when I started coaching, I was charging like $50 to $100 for a program. And at the time I thought that's clearly the most scalable because the most amount of people can afford that. But what I was doing was I was setting myself up as a commodity versus creating something that was truly scalable and would provide the impact that I wanted to have as a coach. And I did run with a low ticket model for a very long time. And what I found from that was that people just didn't invest in themselves and care as much as when they invest more money. So when I started increasing my prices to $1,000, $2,000, I started seeing a lot more compliance, and I also started to see a lot better results, and I too felt fulfilled with the people I'm working with. So if those numbers scare you at all, no worries. I'm gonna walk with you exactly how and why we charge that much. Before we get into today's video, if you could smash that subscribe button, that would be awesome. I create weekly videos just like this that are designed to help coaches like yourself start and scale an online coaching company. All right, so here's the sheet, and this is what I go over with my private coaching clients, and we'll kind of walk through this section by section. We'll start with some rules of thumb, and then we're also going to talk about the different touch points, right? So like I mentioned before, this works for fitness, nutrition, as well as more life coaching where there's more touch points, there's more calls. A lot of the pricing here is going to be really dictated based off the amount of touch points. Before I dive into that, here's some just really basic rules of thumbs. The shorter the commitment, the higher the prices, okay? And the reason for that is that we want to discount only for like paid in full and longer term plans, because let's be honest, most of the time when we're coaching, it takes us the most amount of work to create someone's program the first time. And after we've done that a few times, month to month changes become a lot easier. So because of that, we're gonna be charging more for those shorter commitments because it does require us to have more work, and we also want more long-term people who are committed to the plan. So my suggestion to you is have at least a 3-month commitment, preferably 4 months. 4 months is what I recommend most people starting with. If you have a 90-day plan or you only want to work with someone for 90 days, you can do that too. But I really like the 4-month minimum as an option. And typically, we want to, as you're getting started, we want to have more paid in fulls. Paid in fulls is like people pay the full amount for your service from the minute they work with you. We want to have more of these because what it allows us to do is allow us to have more cash on hand that we can invest back into the business. If we do that, now we can put more money towards marketing to get more clients. And it also, this ensures that the client is going to pay you the full amount of their contracted value, which happens a lot. Is like if someone's paying month to month, what if their credit card bounces? What if they just decide they don't want to do this anymore and they try to cancel their card? And you guys agreed to working together for 6 months. Well, if you do paid in full, it ensures that you're going to get paid for that full amount of that contract, and you'll be able to hold them accountable and committed to the plan that they laid out. Another rule of thumb is when I do drop prices on a sales conversation, I like to give the prospect just 1 or 2 options. The reason for this is if I give them way too many options to choose from, they're not going to know which one they really want to do and move forward with. And that can be a problem because now I have too many choices to choose between. Most of the time for myself, I just give the prospect 1 option. I listen to what they have to say, and then I can have some back pocket offers, whether that's a shorter commitment, maybe less touch points, or maybe it's more touch points based off of the objections that come from that. That's how I like to sell. But also I know some people that like to give their clients 2 to 3 options to choose from. Ultimately, it comes down to your own style and preference. To me, I do 1 and it works really well for me. All right, so now let's go ahead and jump into the different pricing models. And these are all going to be suggested minimums. And again, notice this, they're all going to change based off of the amount of touch points that you give your client. If you just have Loom check-ins, and Loom check-ins, like this is a Loom, you can kind of see my face over here, email, text, or even group calls, where there's very low touch point, but it's still a personalized plan, like personalized nutrition, personalized fitness program, or a combo of both, then because of that personalization, and they're gonna get one-on-one weekly check-ins from you, these are the prices we're gonna run with. And I'll go over each of these and why. Also wanted to mention, as we increase the amount of touch points, our price increases. And that's essentially what I've done with this section here. And then this one would be, a call every other week. What would that look like? And then the bottom ones down here for life coaching are more if you're having a weekly or bi-weekly call. Okay. And again, these are starting points. A lot of people are going to be well above this, which is great, but these are starting points and they're scalable offers. And the reason for that is once we ever get into paid advertising, we have to have a program that's at least $1,500 to really do well in the paid advertising world, because on average it costs $500 to $1,000 to acquire a client. So if we know that and our program is only $1,000, we might just be coaching someone for free. We might break even on paid ads, and now we're working with someone and we're not getting paid for it because there's no profit. So we need to have something that's at least $1,500. Closer to the $2,000 mark is more preferred for me, so that we do have a profit on the front end and can pay ourselves or our employees, which would be like assistant coaches, to work with those clients for us. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in. If you're doing just custom programming, I want you to be the starting kind of where your starting point should be is at least around $350 a month. Okay. And again, the reason for this is when we get into paid advertising, if it costs us $1,000 to acquire a client, well, we need to have this be priced above $1,500, right? And with that $350 mark, it's a really sweet spot. Like, it's not a huge investment for someone to make, and it's still a big enough commitment to where they're gonna want to do it. Before, if you just charged $100 to $150, very challenging to get compliance. But I find around that like $350 point being a really sweet spot to get started, right? And of course, like if you're doing that shorter term commitment where it's 3 to 4 months, we want it to be priced up a little bit higher at that $400 price range. But if they do the paid in full for 4 months, that would drop that down to that $350 mark. Okay, so again, $350 a month is a ballpark of where I like to get people started and kind of their head wrapped around. And we want to offer a 4, 6, and 12 month option for each of those. So if you're doing 4 months, $400 a month, or $1,400 to $1,500 paid in full is ideal. If we're doing 6 month option, $350 a month, or closer to $2,000 paid in full, which knocks it down to $325 a month. Or we could do a 12 month, right? And that's gonna knock this down closer to $3,600 or $300 a month, which would come down to about $325 a month. Again, I'm gonna encourage most people here to do paid in full, or give a paid in full bonus if someone can break up a paid in full payment into 1, 2, or maybe 3 payments. Typically, I don't do month to month because I do want to have that bigger commitment up front. So I found even if you're doing a 3 to 6 month offer, can you break that up into 2 payments instead of monthly? And then eventually you can downsell the monthly option as an additional option, but that's going to be priced more than if they got the paid in full bonus. And then all I do here is if the person wants more touch points, I typically add a minimum of $100 to each of the payment options. Okay, so as you can see here, the payment options jump from $400 a month to $500 a month. Everything pretty much went up $100. That keeps it really easy and clean for me. And essentially the person who's taking that call would just get paid an extra $100 for that one-on-one phone call. If it increases again and we add another call to the mix, again, now we're adding another $100. We're not going to discount it any more than that. We're just going to add another $100. It's super clean. It's super easy. For 4 months, it's $600, right? Or if they do the paid in full, it's $550 a month for a call every other week. If they do 12 months, it knocks it down for paid in full to be $6,000 offer priced at $500 a month. It's important, like as you're going through the sales conversation, to kind of identify which of these 3 buckets do you think this person's gonna want more support in? And you can find this in the sales call and then kind of narrowing it down of like, all right, based on what I heard, what is the offer I'm gonna present them? You might not wanna do any calls. You might not wanna have an offer where you have a call a month. You might not wanna have an offer where you have a call every other week, right? And that's okay. You can just sell these 3 offers, or you can have the option to add on an additional call for $100 a call. Up to you. But again, I'm gonna refer back to what I said up here is just give the prospect 1 or 2 options on the call. If you give them, well, you could do monthly here, you could do paid in full here. This is 6 options, right? If I gave them 6 here and then 6 here, and then I gave them another 6 here, they're gonna be so confused. So give them 1 option at a time. And if I was you, I would lead with the paid in full first, right? So that could be, all right, I've got 2 options for you, Joey. We could do the 6 month and we'll get X, Y, and Z at $1,950, or we could do 12 months at $3,600. That'll save you X number of dollars. Which of those would you like to go with? That's an option. That's the two options, or you could just do 1. I recommend starting with 1. Okay. So like I said, if you add a call, add $100. If you add a second call, add another $100. Now, this is where the category changes a little bit. If you're not doing custom programming, custom nutrition, and you're just doing phone calls every single week, and you're checking in with them via text and they have access, maybe it's Voxer access, but they have access to you throughout the week to be able to answer questions, all of that, that's a very high level of support. I think when a lot of people see life coaching or they think of like therapy, they think of like you're just seeing that person for the hour session, but that's not the case. And anyone who's done life coaching or that type of personal work realizes that's not the case, because there's so much that you're doing outside of the calls that you want to make sure you're charging for that. Unless you legit are like, you cannot contact me outside of these calls. But for most people, we do want that support. Like if I hire a life coach, I want to be able to text and maybe do some voice memos back and forth to my coach so that I know they're in my corner. So because of that, we want our prices to reflect the time that we're going to be having with conversation back and forth. My suggested minimums for life coaching is if you're doing a call every other week, I want it to be very, very close to $550 to $600. Okay, that's kind of the sweet spot, that $500 to $600 a month range for those calls. If you're doing a call a week, then we want to be closer to the $1,000 a month price point, or we can give them these paid in full options. Okay, so we've got 600 or 2,000. If we're going to do the bi-weekly calls, let's go ahead and jump into it. For 4 months, we'd be $600 a month or $2,220 paid in full, which would come out to be, the paid in full would be a big discount of about $550 a month. You can calculate all that math and say, oh, that's an X number of dollars in savings. Totally up to you. 6 months, we drop this. This drops down to $50. This drops down to $25 less, etc. These are my suggested price points. I could honestly just read all these out, but I think what would be better is I'll go ahead and link this in the description below. You'll have the link to this spreadsheet here, and you can reference it for the future. So if you're struggling, you're not really sure what I should be charging, save this as a resource, come back to this and just see which of these feels good. But again, I'm going to encourage you, lead with paid in full. Just give the prospect 1 to 2 options at a time and just get comfortable with this. Your prices are going to change. Mine change all the time, and that's okay. You want a place where you can start and is also still going to be valuing your time, because I know as coaches, we just want to help people, but we also have to value our time. So I hope this video helps you guys. If you guys want more resources like this, let me know. And again, the link to this document will be in the description below. Y'all have a good one. Thank you, and subscribe for more content just like this.